Get out of my underwear, you freak.
Oh, okay, no.
Don't
Back inside, put on a swimsuit.
Why?
Now.
I liked the strange, emotional story that had little contrivance in it and that took place in a beautiful setting. If I were to say one more thing about why I wanted to do it, I would say the two anchors in the story that really attracted me were the two decisions, one by his character, Matt King, when he decides to find the lover and tell the lover that the woman's going to die. You know, he wants to kill him, but he decides he'll do it anyway, an act of love. And I like that the wife of the lover shows up at the hospital and says, my husband was too cowardly to come, but that didn't seem right to me. I like those two moments. Those are my two ins into the story. Approaching Hawaii in general, Honolulu specifically, because I like cities, I wanted to see Honolulu. It's not just differently from other movies. I really haven't seen it in other movies. And I didn't watch the old Hawaii Five-0, which for all I know might have been a great location show, but I've just never seen it. And yeah, that was definitely one of the reasons I wanted to make it, because I am so interested in location and having that certain physical documentary aspect to film. And I wanted to see Honolulu. I'd never seen Honolulu in a film. George was my first and only choice. I flew to Toronto to grab dinner with him. He was there promoting a couple of movies. This was exactly 2 years ago in September. And I said, I've got a screenplay coming your way in November. I explained to him the story. He received the screenplay in November, and we were shooting by March.
Dad, this is Sid.
Oh, Sid. Sup, bro? Don't ever do that to me again.
I very much like first-person literature, and I like first-person cinema, and entering a story through, more or less, through the eyes of the protagonist, and using devices of subjectivity, not just voiceover, but visually as well. And it's also, it just helped propel the narrative a bit. I think the first reel of this film is slightly too voiceover heavy. There was a lot of exposition. I had to get across to the audience, and I was aware of it, but the audience had to know all that stuff, and I didn't want to waste time in a scene to have to get that information across. So I did have to rely on voiceover, but it also anchors us. Even though it disappears, the voiceover tapers off and disappears by about reel 3. But I wanted to anchor the audience very much into Matt King, into his voice and into his head. Because sometimes he's sort of speaking in that kind of omniscient way, but other times it's his thoughts. It's actually the first time I've ever used voiceover as with someone's thoughts.
Who is he?
This was about my third adaptation, third or fourth, and it's the closest I've ever worked with. In fact, I've never worked with the writer ever before. Sideways came closest. I had him give Jim Taylor and me a tour of wine country, you know, to see it through his eyes, because that was very much autobiographical to him. And then I had little to do with him during adaptation. But I would really consider Cowie Hemmings, that's the writer's name, my collaborator on this, unspoken collaborator, because it's her world, not mine. And to enter that world of that kind of upper class world in Honolulu and in Hawaii, it's something kind of specific, small, and a little complicated. So I had to take a lot of cues from her. Turns of phrase. I mean, for example, when in the scene between George and Judy on the beach, and she says, "Do you live here?" And he says, "No, on Oahu." And she says, "Oh, so do we." I had originally put in, "No, in Honolulu," which you don't say in Hawaii. You really refer more to the island than to the city on the island, even if it's a big city like Honolulu. So just, it could be little terms of phrase like that, or mores in that Outrigger Canoe Club set. So I really relied upon her a lot.